Morning, Scootaloo. Morning, Cozy Glow. Did you finish your homework? Yeah, I did. What about you? Yeah, I did actually push myself to the finishing last night. My aunts really told me to finish it early in the afternoon, but I wanted to be with my friends. Yeah, I understand that. But where are they, though? Oh, they probably are at the school already. Hmm, makes sense. So, is something wrong? No. It just, a little bit tired, that's all. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, since I like to finish my homework like around midnight, that late? Scootaloo, I know. I probably thought I should probably do them earlier, but spend time with your friends. Pretty much. Scootaloo, you're sometimes a bad in planning or schedule like that, said Cozy Glow with a smile. I know, but we should probably hurry to school right now so we won't get late. We don't want to be scolded by Mr. Lee. Yeah, you're right. Both Scootaloo and Cozy Glow were walking together to school. It has been a whole year since Cozy Glow had been released from her stone statue prison. It was actually Scootaloo and Apple Bloom who approached Twilight in a plea to let her go from the stone imprisonment and given the chance to reform. Even though at the time Twilight and her friends were hesitating to that in a belief that Cozy Glow could be redeemed. But both Scootaloo and Apple Bloom give a very much good argue because they said, what about Discord? That Fluttershy gave him a chance to reform, which he did. But then he betrayed them, but when he came to realize they were his true friends and that Tirek only betrayed him or at least took advantage of him. In that argue, Twilight agreed, but only if the CMC could help to redeem Cozy Glow. Of course, there were serious doubts that Cozy Glow would not even redeem herself. But to most of this surprise, she did. After a whole year of work, she was finally considered as fully redeemed. And since Cozy families had left Pondville altogether, and they probably wouldn't even have nothing to do with her anymore, so Twilight allowed Cozy Glow to live in her castle. There you are. Took long enough, said Apple Bloom with a bit firm tone. Sorry. I had to finish off my homework late last night, so... Again, Scootaloo? Really? Again? Said Sweetie Belle. I know, Sweetie Belle. You don't have to be nagging about that again and again. Even Ghost mentioned it. So please, let us move on, okay? Fine. But you had to promise. I know. Scootaloo was actually a bit bad sometimes when it comes to schedules and making her homeworks, even when she had been told by her aunts to do that in advance so that she didn't have to be put in the last moment. But there was one thing that also was the reason that she was bad on schedule. It was that she spent a lot more time with Cozy Glow. And during that particular year when she and her friends was redeeming her, Scootaloo had fallen in love with Cozy Glow. At first, she didn't know exactly what it was about, or at least since she had never had any form of romantic feelings for any pony before that. It took her some while, but when she saw other couples, how they reacted, and she even had asked her aunts for an advice, or at least ask, how do you feel if you were in love? They were actually surprised, but they told her it's like having butterflies in your stomach and warmer than usual. They asked if she was in love with something, She said, no, I'm just curious, that's all. The only thing is that Scootaloo hasn't even told anybody, not even her true friends at all. It just, she didn't know how they would even react. Scootaloo had actually even planned to confess to Cozy Glow by the end of the day, even though she didn't know exactly how to do it. She were aware there were different ways how to confess her true feelings, but she couldn't exactly determine which way was the best approach. But she had to figure out one way or another before the day was over by the school. And during the school day, she couldn't resist to looking at Cozy Glow with, from time to time while they were doing their classes or something like that. But then, as she even looked at the clock, it was getting closer and closer by the end of the day, and still she hadn't even figured out how to even confess her feelings. But then the school bell rang, and it was the end of the day. As she was about to leave, she realized Cozy had already left. So she ran out the school building and ran after Cozy Glow. But to her surprise, she was actually walking with some pony already, and it was Rumble. They were laughing and laughing, talking, and then she realized maybe Cozy Glow liked somebody else. Because she had spent a lot of time with Rumble. So she thought maybe she had no chance. Perhaps Cozy was already in a relationship with Rumble. So she didn't say anything. And then her friends caught up with her and asked if she wanted to join them to their clubhouse. So she said yes. But at the clubhouse, they noticed that Scootaloo looked a bit down. Scootaloo, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You don't look fine. Are you feeling sick? Asked Applebloom. No, I'm not sick, Applebloom. I don't know. Maybe I should just go home. Now you need to tell us exactly what's wrong, said Sweetabelle. We are your friends. We are your best friends. And you don't trust us by telling what's wrong? Okay, but you can't tell anyone about this, okay? Pinky promise. I'm in love with Cozy Glow. Their whole clubhouse was in silence. What? What? Really? How long? For a year. But why hadn't you even told her? It's no use. And why is that? She is in love with somebody else, I believe. Who? Rumble. Rumble? Seriously? Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of time, and they were walking home together and laughing. Both Sweetabelle and Applebloom looked at each other and said, you know that might not even be the actual in love. Have you just thought that they may just also be very close friends? You know? Said Applebloom. Yeah, I know, but there's nothing else I can think of. But then Sweetabelle just said, you need to go and talk to her right now to have this sorted out. I can't just do that. Listen, if you don't do it, you may never know the answer. And even if she isn't dating somebody else might take her away from you if you don't do it, said Sweetabelle, and she had a point. Alright, I will try to do it, okay? Then Scootaloo just left the clubhouse running away all the way back to Ponyville. She ran to the castle, and to her surprise, Cozy Glow was actually outside by herself, reading a book. Scootaloo, what are you doing here? Are you Looking for something? No, well, not something, but some pony actually. Oh? Who? You. I had to ask, are you dating Rumble? And then suddenly, Cozy Glow started laughing. Me and Rumble dating? Are you kidding me? No. He's just a friend of ours. He's a friend of mine now. And if you saw us laughing earlier, because we were talking about some jokes that we had came up with. That's it. Wait, are you jealous of Rumble or something? No. But then, why? Then, Scootaloo thought that maybe it was time to just say it. Cozy Glow, for the past year when me and my friends were helping you to redeem, yeah? During that time, you and I was getting closer, and even though there were doubts that you wouldn't even be honest, but I had to say I actually had fallen in love with you, and I still love you even today. You do? Yeah. And if you don't like me the same way, I understand if you don't. Well, I mean, it's all news to me, says Cozy Glow. I mean, can you not blame me though? No police probably wouldn't even be with you if considering what you did in the past. Yeah, I don't blame them from that. But I really want to be with you, Cozy Glow. And then, suddenly, Cozy proposed an idea of them trying dating just to see if there was any actual spark between them. Scootaloo thought it was a good idea, and they decided to go on a date that Friday after school. And on Friday, that happened. They actually left the school together. First, they went home to leave their bags, and they were supposed to be eating at Sugar Cup Corner. They bought some cupcakes together from that place, and had like a small picnic hideaway in the park. This is very nice. Yeah, it isn't. I don't even feel nervous at all. In fact, I feel more happier. I mean, how do you feel though? I feel pretty much the same. I'm actually happy that you did ask me out. And after they finished the cupcakes and others that they had bought, so what else do you would like to do? How about we go to the arcade? It had been a while since we've been there together as with our friends. You know what? Yeah, we can do that. So they actually went to the arcade, played the games, and there was one particular game that Cozy wanted to play. It was the claw machine. And the prize were a teddy bear. She tried and tried, but eventually couldn't get it. Scootaloo tried, and she failed, but she tried again. And on her second try, she managed to get a teddy bear, and even got it and gave it to Cozy Glow as a gift. Cozy Glow smiled and actually even kissed her as a thanks. It made Scootaloo blushing a lot, actually. And then, it was then when she realized the feeling that she had for Cozy Glow were actually real. Because there were some doubts that maybe this wasn't the actual romance feelings. Maybe just she thought that she was in love. But it turns out she were deeply in love. And by the end of the day, Scootaloo took Cozy Glow back to the castle, and then Cozy did ask her if she wanted to be her girlfriend. She said yes. And that same next week, they actually confessed to Sweet Belle and Apple Bloom that now that Cozy Glow and Scootaloo were now in fact a couple. And eventually the whole school knew about it, and they were happy for them. There were at least some doubts at first, but seeing how happy Cozy were with Scootaloo, there were no doubts. It was true feelings. And their love for each other is only growing stronger and stronger as time went on. And as even as much as time went, and around Nightmare Night, for example, they decided to use that for begging for candy together as a date. First, before then that, they actually had a bit of problem to decide from which costume to use. But Cozy Glow decided to go as a zombie, and Scootaloo decided to go as a witch. They walked around together, begging for candy, and after they got some of it, they decided to just go home, leave the candy at home, and go back out and enjoy the rest of the festival of Nightmare Night. They played games, had some snacks, and just having a good time. But there were some doubts even then that maybe this isn't gonna be a long term, because one night Scootaloo had this very terrible nightmare. It was so terrible that she had cold sweat when she woke up. She remembered the dream so vividly. In the nightmare, Scootaloo and Cozy Glow were dating, and they went to this small cafe to just enjoy when suddenly Cozy Glow said that she was dumping Scootaloo for someone else. And it was actually not other than Rumble. But after it been after when Scootaloo woke up from that nightmare, she just know it was a nightmare. It's not real. Because Scootaloo realized that. And why? Well, the reason is why is because Rumble was now dating Sweetabelle. And it was not like they had to be worrying about any of this. But there were doubts at first. When winter arrived to Ponyville, and with the holiday of Heart's Warming Eve was approaching, Scootaloo and Cozy Glow were planning, hoping to celebrate it together this year as the first of the couple. But to her amazement, it turns out that Scootaloo's aunts had something else planned. In fact, they were planning to go to see some relatives in Manhattan, and Scootaloo had to go with them. But luckily for them, Scootaloo actually gave Cozy her gift, which were a scarf that she had made with help from Rarity. They made a promise that they will see each other on New Year's Eve to celebrate it together. And during the time when they were apart, Cozy Glow was really sad, but she knows that eventually Scootaloo will be back home. And just around the time when the New Year's Eve happened, she did get back home. Scootaloo told Cozy Glow all the things that she did in Manhattan of her with her cousins and all that. She was actually happy to at least meeting her cousins, since she doesn't really do that so often. But she even actually gave Cozy another gift that she had, which were a necklace. It had both their names engraved on it. She was really surprised, but she even asked how much did it cost? And Scootaloo said it cost around 200 bits, but she had saved up enough money and also been given some money from her family to be able to buy for her. And with that, their love for each other only grew stronger. And when New Year's Eve happened, they made one resolution to always be there for each other, no matter what happens. And eventually, as time was going on for them, as they were getting older, and then when they were about 20 years old, Scootaloo took Cozy Glow to a restaurant in town to celebrate their anniversary, and they had been together for such a long time. And she did even propose to Cozy. And Cozy said yes immediately. They decided to have a small wedding since a big one would probably cost a lot more than the small one. They had only close family and friends invited. Cozy had asked Sweetie Belle to be her maid of honor. Apple Bloom was asked by Scootaloo to be her maid of honor. And they decided to have a wedding at Sweet Apple Acres, since it had a good scenery for a meadow wedding. Scootaloo's parents came, of course. Cozy did reach out to her family, but they didn't even respond. So, she didn't even care much of that, but instead, Twilight went as her new mother. And at this point, and even after sometimes after this, after that Cozy had moved into the castle, Twilight went through the process to adopt Cozy as the new daughter. And she loved it. And after the wedding, they actually went to Baltimore for their honeymoon for about a week. They had a great time there, just enjoying a lot, sightseeing. There was a lot of things that they really liked. But they were most of all that they were happy together as a couple. This was the one thing that they most loved. And about 3 years later, Cozy Glow and Scootaloo wanted to start a family, so they asked Twilight for help. She were more than willing to help them. She used the spell, and Scootaloo chose to be pregnant first. And they actually got pregnant, and she had a daughter. And they named their daughter Sporty Gale. As a filly, she loved sports, especially buckball. After the very first match she saw with her parents, she fell in love in the sport. Her dream was to be a buckball player one day. And when she was older, she actually was able to join the Ponyville buckball team. And at some point, she actually fell in love with another player, and they even got married after being dating for about 4 years. Eventually, they had 2 daughters and 1 son of their own together. 3 years later, Cozy Glow had a daughter which they named Lavender Essen. She really much liked the smells of something sweet, like flowers, and even so that sparked an interest of her to be working with perfumes. Rarity did teach her how to do some perfume, and it sparked an interest that she wanted to make perfumes and even own a store to even selling perfumes. When she was about 20 years old, she eventually moved from Ponyville to Manhattan, where she managed to open a small perfume shop, and it was a hit. She loved it. And eventually, she even married a stallion who worked as a doctor. And they got married after being dating for about 3 years and have 2 sons and 1 daughter of their own. 3 years later, Scootaloo had a son which they named Zippity. His biggest idol was Rainbow Dash. He liked sports, and he even wanted to be a sports coach one day. And when he was actually a teenager, he studied a lot of how to become as one and also a lot more sports. When he was about 20 years old, he was actually hired as a sports coach at the School of Friendship, and he loved it. And the students, they loved his teachings. He eventually fell in love with a mayor, and they got married after being dating for about 2 years. And they have two daughters and one son of their own. 4 years later, Cozy had a daughter which they named Flora Lace. Flora Lace really liked to work with Rarity when she was like a part-time worker, and it sparked an interest that she wanted to work with fashion. So when she was about 21 years old, she moved to Manhattan by recommendation by Rarity to work with Coco Powell in Manhattan. She took the chance to move there without even out questioning it. And eventually, she did fall in love with a stallion who was working as a teacher. They even got married after being dating for about 2 years, and they later have two daughters and two sons of their own. 4 years later, Scootaloo had twins, a son and a daughter. The son was named Speeder Fly. He really loved flying as much. And his biggest idol was, of course, Rainbow Dash. And he wanted to be a Wonderbolt. After he saw the first performance of Wonderbolts when he was 5 years old, he wanted to be one. So he often practiced by himself or sometimes with Rainbow when she was in fact in town. And when he was about 18, he applied for the Wonderbolt Academy for reserves. He was accepted in, and after much intense trainings and after a few years, when he was about 21, he actually had become as a full member of the Wonderbolts. He was really happy about it. He eventually did get married to another Wonderbolt member, and they got married after being dating for about 4 years and have two daughters and one son of their own. Scootaloo's twin daughter was named Zigzag Blossom. Unlike her twin brother, she was more calmer and she loved flowers. Sometimes she did actually help her parents in their garden with the flowers and even had her own small flower bed with any kinds of flowers that she get. When she was about 15, she started working as part-time at Rosalie's flower shop, and it went quite well actually. And when she turned 18, Rosalie actually offered her a full-time employment at her flower shop. She took a chance to work there. And eventually, when about a few years later, when she was 21, she did eventually get married to a stallion who she was working with at the flower shop, and they got married after being dating for about a few years. And they later had two daughters and one son of their own. Scootaloo is happy that she and her friends took the chance to redeem Cozy Glow after she was in her stone statue prison. She didn't hesitate and doesn't even regret that she did. Even Cozy Glow doesn't regret that she chose to be helped by her friends, but eventually even being confessed by Scootaloo made her really to start a question of her own feelings, which were genuine. And with that, they are happy to finally to realize the true feelings. And this is how Scootaloo and Cozy Glow for the true love and got a big family together. The end.